Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 14 of the Behind the Stripes podcast. I'm Rama, Peroo, joined as always by Tiger legend, many Hall of Fames, Dave Burroughs. Coach, great to have you with us.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and I know this is a guest that you and I had talked about bringing on. You were really excited to get him. It's a guy you know very well, get to call baseball games with. We're excited to have the voice of the Cowley Tigers and Mr. Scott Gurnee. Scott, thanks for being here.
You bet. I couldn't be more honored.
Well, we're very happy to have you. I mean, if any of you out there are listening, you've heard the voice, I'm sure. If you've watched any Cowley sporting event, whether it be baseball, he was out there doing softball last week, volleyball, you name it. This is the guy, Scott Gurnee. Of course, the basketball teams. So, Scott, you know, the work you do with Cowley Sports Network, we were just talking about it off air, too. We're so lucky because Cowley Sports Network, what a great thing it's been for Cowley College. How did you, before we get going into kind of your early life, how did you get involved with the Cowley Sports Network?
It came about from a broadcast I did for the radio station of high school basketball, Ark City High School basketball. They evidently had a guy who's doing it got sick. Mm-hmm. Marty Muty calls me up, says, "Hey, can you do a broadcast for us?" And I'm like, "I've never done that a day in my life." And so he goes, "Oh, we'll set everything up for you, and all you got to do is just talk about what you see." He says, "You know sports and all that stuff. Just talk about what you see." Okay, and so that one game led to me doing other games. They came back the next day and said, "You can have it as long as you want it." And so then the company I'd worked for, Good Time Productions, we built that the broadcast booth where it sits now, where you guys broadcast or where you broadcast from, and the camera podium. So that's where I first got involved with Kurt Leglighter and the Leglighter Video Production Group.
Yeah.
He was the cameraman at the time, and so I sat next to him up in that area in the crow's nest, and so we got talking back and forth and got to knowing each other, and pretty soon came best friends, and that's kind of how it started.
It's been an amazing thing for the college. We're very lucky to have it. But before we get into more of that, let's go back to the start of it all. Tell us a little bit about where you were born and raised.
Winfield, Kansas, born and raised. We did a lot of traveling. I was a military brat. Dad was in the Air National Guard at the time. Gotten back from Vietnam, out of the Air Force, and then went into the Guard. And so we traveled a lot. I got an older brother who was born in Vegas. I think we lived in Henderson, California at the time. Then I got a sister born in Blackwell, so we just happened to be living in Winfield at the time. Dad was at McConnell, so born and raised in Winfield. Spent a little time in Oklahoma when he was transferred to Fort Smith, and spent my junior high years, like 6th grade through 9th grade, down in Oklahoma and Roland.
Okay.
And then back to Winfield came, and graduated from there in 1986.
Good deal. What kind of activities were you involved in as a young person, kind of growing up when you were, young and then getting into high school age?
Well, it was sports-wise, it was everything. It was soccer, football, baseball, of course. Dad loved to fish, so I just tagged along with the guy I wanted to be just like, and became a really good fisherman and enjoyed that at a very early age. Hunted with my aunts or my uncles and my cousins, and spent a lot of time over in the woods at Burden, and so hunting and fishing was kind of my passion. Sports as well. Besides that, if it wasn't sports related or hunting related, fishing related, I didn't do it.
I think one could argue, though. He said he became a good fisherman.
Yeah.
What's a good fisherman?
Yeah, I'd like to know, what is a good fisherman?
A guy
that tell a good fish story.
Yeah, really.
A guy that can pick the right bait at the right time in the right place and be successful and catch fish.
Yeah.
Now, is every trip successful? Maybe not, but if you can figure them out, I think that's what you call it.
I've learned something today. His name's Jimmy Houston. It's not Scott Gurnee.
Just missing the Tennessee hat.
Yeah, really.
That's Bill Dance.
Oh, my bad. See, the fisherman knew.
Yeah,
Jimmy's from
absolutely.
Oklahoma, and I have met Jimmy Houston on a couple of occasions.
First flyer don't have a chance, Rama.
No. Well, and then you parlayed that into college. What did you do? Where did you go to school after high school then?
I came here to Cowley, recruited by Rick Holman.
Excellent, for baseball.
For baseball, yep. Didn't get a look out of high school, but summer team playing American Legion ball.
Yeah.
You know, got a look, and Rick said, "Hey, I want you to come play for us." And him and Doug Hunter. And matter of fact, this was where we're sitting at right now was Doug Hunter's art room. I was a graphic design art major here at Cowley, and so came here and played baseball and studied art. And
How was that experience like for you when you were at Cowley as a student athlete?
it was amazing. I wished I would have stayed in the dorms. Just financially, just didn't work out. So Winfield wasn't too far, so drove back and forth, and but what a wonderful experience. I mean, I wouldn't be the man I am today without it. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. The people, the family atmosphere, it was second to none. It really was.
Yeah.
Met my wife here.
Oh, wonderful. I was going to ask you when you and Shannon got married or got together then, and that happened whenever here at Cowley.
Yeah, our sophomore year did not know each other our freshman year.
Okay.
She also graduated in '86 from Arc City. She was a Bulldog. We didn't see each other, didn't notice each other our freshman year, but interesting story. I'm driving out of town with a buddy of mine, and she is in her boss's truck, headed out of town back towards Winfield too, and she's got a ball cap on, ponytail sticking out the back of it, and we just happened to pass her, and I looked over and was like, wow, just starstruck.
Yeah.
She's so beautiful, and then next time I know, I see her in a cheerleader outfit, and she's cheering at a Cowley basketball game, and I'm like, that's the same girl.
Wow.
And so got up the nerve to ask her out. She didn't date jocks, and she's an accounting major and assistant basketball coach at the time. Interesting story. Rob.
Yes.
Alexander.
Yeah,
Rob Alexander. We were sitting over across the road and made a bet with him. He made a bet with me. He said he would get to date her first. I'm like, well, that don't work because you're an assistant basketball coach. He goes, I don't care. I'm like, okay, bet's on. Bet's on.
Yeah.
Guess who won?
See, we saw who won that bet. Good for you.
I want to add something to the fishing story. He's not a good fisherman. He's an overachieving fisherman. Kicked his coverage on that.
Yeah, I remember the first time Dave saw me with her because I played for Rick Holman my first year, and I played for Dave in my second year. And when Dave saw me with her, he's like, said the exact same thing. You done outkicked your coverage.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, that's great.
And
She had a bad day. The wind was blowing in her eyes that first time. She never got over it.
Too late now.
Yeah, really.
Hey, so you have an opportunity to play for Coach Dave. But tell me though, Coach, what was it like to coach a young Scott Gurnee at the time?
I came in here in July, and basically the roster was set already. So, and I wasn't much older than those guys.
That's right.
So
10 years.
he remembers more about the first year than I probably do.
I do.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, I can remember a number of things.
What a cool deal to be able to play for the first class that Coach Burroughs had. That had to be really awesome. Was it a little bit intimidating having a new coach come in after Coach Holman, someone that you weren't really familiar with coming in to lead the program?
It was, and I'll contribute it to youth and ignorance and not knowing what I had at the time. Because it's an interesting fact, Dave cut me in after the fall. And it's interesting how when you look back introspectively and you realize what you had at the time. Because I let my alligator mouth overload my hummingbird butt way too many times. I don't think I didn't have the skill to play for him. I think I just did things as an immature kid with a new coach, and we clashed with personalities-wise. He wanted to have things his way. He's coming in as a new coach. I'm thinking,
We're trying to establish a new culture.
Right, absolutely.
That's what we're trying to do.
And I was probably the tack that was sticking up and needed to be driven down and taken down a peg or two, and at the time I didn't realize that. Interesting thing about your athletic career is when you decide to hang up the cleats, you've made that decision. And you can usually live with that decision because you've had a lot of time to think about it. When somebody ends it for you, I mean, it's a kick.
Yeah.
and I was down. Went on to Wichita State. Was gonna play at Wichita State. Was gonna try to walk on at Wichita State. Realized that I had probably taken a little bit too much toll on my body, and things just didn't work out. Classes didn't work out with practice times. There was kind of a whole lot of things that combined into my baseball career ending. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I'm at today with who I'm with today, 35 years later. You know, wouldn't have the family I have today. It's just interesting how God has a plan for you. And every time you try to decide, this is what I'm going to do, he chuckles and then, decides something different. But because of that happening, the relationship that I have with the Burroughs family just is so deep. I can't imagine not having them because it is just that deep.
I'll add to that. I probably didn't handle that the right way. I was young and pretty stubborn, and I was eager to prove a point. And sometimes you make a lot of mistakes when you're young, and I probably would have handled it different today if I was doing it now. Like, okay, look, we're going to try to back up. We're going to put this in reverse, and we're going to get this settled. Because the next time I call you in here, I'm probably going to, and maybe it would have worked and maybe it not, but not given, back in those days, it's a different time too, though.
Absolutely.
It's a different time, and doesn't make it right. It's just how we did it. And like I said, we're trying to establish something different because the culture needed to be established. And, and I had an idea what I wanted to do and made some mistakes along the way. He wouldn't be the first guy. I would have to go back and say, maybe I mishandled that situation, But I'm like Scott. I learned from it though, and it made me better and made us what we want to do down the road, because we knew that we had, and that's what we do on this show. We try to. It's all about self-improvement, right?
For sure.
And we had to think about that as a coach too. We just maybe made some mistakes, but we can't back up. We can't change them now, but we can fix them for the next group that comes through here.
Isn't it something though? How we're sitting here 35 to 40 years later, and it's come around to where you guys, are calling baseball games together.
Absolutely.
And here at Cowley. And who would have thought that whenever that you guys were having a moment like that?
I'm going to be like Yogi Berra. I wouldn't have thunk it at all,
Who would have thought years later in Little League Baseball, I would have been coaching his son on an All-Star team.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's
Dylan played for me on an All-Star team that, matter of fact, a couple of years.
Yeah.
And you think about Darren and Brent.
For
growing
sure.
up, and Tyler was the same age. My oldest son was the same age as Brent, so they played, together. And just crazy how when you stick around long enough, how your cloth and your threads intertwine with each other. And
I look at it like this: we just weren't ready for each other in 1987. We were ready for each other 10 years later.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
And I think it's like that with a lot of people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Some people you got to learn. You got to grow, and you got to learn to appreciate each other, because you don't appreciate. I mean, there's a lot of people like the first time I meet them, like, I don't like that guy.
Yeah, right. I've been there. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, wait a second.
This guy's a good dude. Yeah,
exactly.
Made a mistake.
You bet.
Now, Scott, tell us a little bit about after college. And so you say, Cowley, was there anywhere else after Cowley, or did you just go right into the work field kind of then?
No, we went, moved to Wichita. Shannon and I went to Wichita State. I said I was going to play baseball and thinking, hey, I can walk on here. Little did I know in 1988, Wichita State would move on to win the College World Series at the time. And Coach Stevenson, I sat in his office, and we had a couple of conversations about doing it, and where'd you play, and that whole thing, and ended up he didn't take me, but he took my wife as a Shocker Golden Girl.
Really?
I know he didn't have anything to do with that, but Shannon was a bat girl for the Shockers, and
very cool, awesome.
Point number 2, kick this coverage.
I'm telling you, I just keep coming back to really good things that happened to me, and you don't see them at the time.
Got to get Shannon on here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pretty soon, right?
Yeah, Rip, go call Shannon and get her on right now. We'll excuse him from this interview.
But yeah, went to Wichita State, graphic design major, and that was about the time when computer graphics was coming in, and I can remember we had between the 58 students that we had in my class in graphic design, they got 3 Apple Macintosh computers to do graphics on.
Oh my.
3.
Yeah, with 58 students.
Yeah, and you kind of look at it, you get to your senior year and you're thinking, okay, this is kind of what I want to do. But then it was like, okay, I got to start looking for jobs out there. And we had a project where we had to make a vernacular design house folded out of paper. And I was one of 2 people that excelled at that. We had the president of Love Box Company came in, was the judge, invited me and the second place gal to come to work for Love Box.
Terrific.
3 weeks later, we're sitting in the interview room and getting ready to go do our thing. And the guy walks in, he says, "Sorry, folks, do you guys know anything about computers?" No. We're changing everything to a CAD-based model, and sorry, we can't have you come on. So it was like, pivot,
Yeah.
You get a curveball, and boom, you either adjust to it or you don't. So, then it was a matter of, okay, I got to start looking for other jobs in the graphic design field. And there was about probably 8 or 10 jobs listings that I would go through and find in the Wichita Eagle and in Kansas City and Tulsa and stuff like that. And there's just not a whole lot of them out there without computer experience.
Yeah.
And you got to think of the Texas schools, the Oklahoma schools, the Missouri, Arkansas, Colorado schools that are, looking to fill those positions. And I'm like, I got to pivot. I got to do something else, and what do I do? And at the time, Shannon was in accounting, and she got hired before she graduated to work for Baird, Kurtz & Dobson, which is the largest accounting firm in Wichita. Before she graduated, said, well, if you come work for us full-time, then we'll pay for your school. We'll get that taken care of.
Terrific.
So, somebody had to make some bread. So,
yeah,
so I'll just take semester off and I'll go to work and let her finish school and go to work there. And, and things worked out the way they did. And, it was off to the races.
I'll say this too. Scott also got to call some Region 6 games in the Region 6 with Gene Stevenson a couple different times. So
with Coach Stevenson, that's right. I forgot about
Gene
that.
and I we were intertangled too. He recruited me to go to the University of Oklahoma, and that was the reason I went there. So it's amazing how you connect the dots and how it comes back to where now Scott worked with him, and now so.
Can I share one funny Gene Stevenson story with you guys too? So
it's your show.
Hey, I was the sports editor at the Wichita State Sunflower for a couple of years, so I got to cover all the Shocker baseball games, and that was a blast. That was great to get to. Very intimidating the first time I met Coach Stevenson, and I grew up a lifelong Wichita State Shocker sports fan, so it was like a dream. And I remember talking with him out there on the field and just having a great conversation with him. And then I was walking off, and the head basketball coach at that time was Randy Smithson.
Oh.
And I said, "That was so fun talking to you, Coach Smithson." And I just thought, gosh, I gotta go, it's Stevenson, but thanks, kid. And I was like, yeah.
That's an honest mistake because Randy's dad was the basketball coach at Wichita State. Gene Smithson and Gene Stevenson, they got him confused a lot of times.
I did, and that was my first encounter.
Yeah, you're a little nervous on top of it, so you're allowed.
Funniest story about that Gene Stevenson deal is he was at Lawrence Dumont Stadium, so he walks by as I'm coming out of the broadcast booth or the room there, and I'm like, Gene, I said, how are you? And I introduced myself. I said, I married one of your Shocker Golden Girls. Really? He says, you got to bring her up and introduce me to her when she gets up here. Reintroduce me. So Shannon was up there, and I walked into the VIP room around the corner, and I said, hey, Gene, introduce my wife and all that stuff. And I said, I took my shot. I'm like, if you ain't got nothing else going on, I'm doing the broadcast, play-by-play broadcast. If you want to sit in and do a little color, I'd love to have you. Didn't expect him to show up. Didn't expect. And I'm sitting there, and Kurt Legleiter is doing camera one behind home plate right next to me, and he's doing color at the same time he's running the camera.
Okay.
And so next thing I know, Gene Stevenson walks in. He goes, do you mind if I sit in there? And I look at Kurt, who's doing color, and he goes, he's just shaking his head. No, I don't mind at all. You go right ahead. It's Gene Stevenson, crying out loud, And so he hops on, and we do half the game, and then the next day, after that, I said, hey, if you ever feel like stopping by, man, the invitation's always open. Okay. Well, the next night, his brother's team, Garden City,
Was it Dodge?
Dodge City, is playing the Tigers. And he comes back in. Would you mind if I said it again? And I'm thinking, the whole time, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Yes. Why would you not? This guy's a legend. In the back of my mind, I'm going, my baseball superstition is kicking in.
Mm-hmm.
And if my Tigers lose to these guys and Coach Dave loses to Gene's brother, it's going to be all my fault. And that is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember that to this day. So that's how
that
bad
funny?
it's stuck in my mind. And
like we control things.
Yeah,
that
like
way,
we-
though,
yeah,
you know,
like
but-
we had
but
it
we
in-
feel that way. I do too.
Absolutely.
It's like stepping on a crack, man.
Yeah.
You don't know it's going to happen, but you just do it. Just don't do it, just in case.
I would very seldom miss a home basketball game doing PA announcing. And I remember one time I had a family obligation and I couldn't be there. Maybe it was a Thanksgiving Classic or something, but Tommy DeSalm was the coach and we lost. And as soon as the game was over, I got a text from Tommy. The guys were all disheveled because they heard their names announced by someone they didn't know. We were out of sorts from the start, Rama. Thanks so much.
I understand. I understand that.
Just laying it
makes
on.
sense to me.
You know, and he was just hanging it on me. You know? But that's so I try not to miss any games for that reason.
Maybe he was and maybe he wasn't. He had to get it off his chest. Just let you know.
Well, he did pretty quickly after
Yeah,
that game was
yeah,
over.
for
So.
sure.
But no, I can feel you where you're like, oh gosh, darn it! If we lose this one though, this could be a little on me, a little Tiger jinx. So.
We beat him the night before to send it to the if game.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we walked him off. Actually, our little shortstop hit a walk-off home run, if you remember. Little yo-yo Alisea.
That's right.
About 5'9", hits one up across those.
Was that the unfortunately the championship game we did lose to Dodge?
Yeah,
That-
2015.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we had 5 losses all year long, and that was one of them. We
That
lost
was-
2 times in the tournament.
That was a Garrett Binge
Yeah.
teams, and man, those were boy, that was a heck of a fun group.
Probably the
That
best,
was.
maybe one of the best teams we ever had here.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, can you tell us a little bit about, I mean, before we get into the Cowley Sports Network side of things, kind of what kind of jobs have you held through the years? Then graphic design was kind of what you went into. Is that something you ever continued to explore or not? Or
No, I actually got in the engineering side of things.
Okay.
So at Wichita State, of course, had to stop school and go to work. So I worked for a car dealership, Parks of Augusta.
Sure.
Worked in the parts booth, and then worked on the service line. And then Shannon and I wanted to get closer to home and have maybe some free babysitting. So we moved back to Ark City and had her mom and her grandma that could take care of Tyler at the time. So moved back and went to work for Zellers. Went to work for Ed Zeller as a service advisor, and worked for him for about 6 years back in the 90s, and did that, and then got an offer to go work at Elevator Solutions. It was at the time Montgomery Elevator. Yeah. It changed hands about 27 times. At the time,
Gotcha.
It was out there, still in business today under a different name, but got into the engineering side, and walked in there as a listing engineer, which is somebody who fills out a lot of paperwork but does AutoCAD drawings.
Okay.
And they said, here's your desk, here's your computer, here's the book. Good luck.
A lot of training, huh?
A lot of training there. There was a gal that sat next to me that in another booth next to me, and he said, just shadow her and figured it out. And then they had an opening in the shop for a guy that could do programming of CNC machines. So went and did that, and they sent me to school on training how to do program CNC punches. And from there, I went to work for what I found out later was my wife's second cousin, Gary Wilson, who is
Really?
the board here.
Yeah.
He had a business down on West Madison, Good Time Productions,
Okay. Yep.
and his sheet metal job shop. And it was so funny on Christmas, our Christmas party out at the Elevator Solutions plant. We had just been bought out by another company. So they were having HR come in, and they were doing all the stuff HR does with the new company, and we're doing inventory at the time. Our Christmas parties that day, Shannon made this amazing chocolate cake, and crazy deal. I got a call to come into the office, and I come in there, and the HR lady sitting there from this new company. She goes, "Your services are no longer needed. We've eliminated your position."
Oh my.
And I'm like, wow, this is the first time I've ever been fired. And I'm like, I just started laughing.
Yeah.
She goes, what are you laughing about? I said, you have no idea what I do you? And she goes,
That's sad.
she goes, no, I really don't. Okay, let's just leave it at that. Well, my father-in-law was shop foreman, plant manager, and I called him. I went down the street, and I didn't have a cell phone at the time, and I went down the street to a buddy of mine it works out at Strother Field too, and so I stopped by his office. I said, can I use your phone a second? So I called Rocky, who had a cell phone. I said, when you get done tonight, can you grab Shannon's cake pan and bring it home? He goes, well, why don't you just bring it home? I said, because I don't work there anymore.
Oh, man.
And he's at the bank signing papers because of the new company doing all this. And he says, he meets me at home. He goes, what did you do? He goes, well, I was in there with the big boss. And I said, well, you firing him, you're firing me. So he walked out.
Really?
And that's kind of the long and short of it. It was a much longer story than that, but yeah, it was a crazy deal. And so I went to work for Gary, doing CNC and doing the CAD work for them, and just got better at it and started running press brakes and stuff. Then we bought a laser and learned how to program that. And from there on out, it's just been in engineering ever since. I work for a company right now out of Connecticut.
Oh, wow.
How about UConn today? Yep.
So are you working from home primarily then?
I work from home.
Excellent.
Engineering, designing burners and stuff like the old Gordon and Pye. It's done, but it's been 7 years at Cook Shack.
Right.
Designing smokers and cookers and rotisseries and all kinds of stuff, pizza ovens and that kind of stuff.
But primarily in the engineering field. Then.
Yep, always in the engineering field, and from there worked for BYIS, designing boiler, steam generators and fire heaters, and so. A lot of different things.
Yeah.
And work part-time for the funeral home. Not many people know that. Just kind of on-call thing. And
man of many talents, many trades, my goodness. But announcing, you mentioned a little bit about how you just got kind of thrust into that.
Yeah.
But, did you ever have any aspirations or anybody ever tell you, hey, you got a good voice, you should be like an announcer or do something like that? Or
no.
Once you actually did it, did you catch kind of that bug?
I did. That's the way it was.
Yeah.
And it was so exciting because you just never knew the outcome. And to be able to do it for people you knew, because at the time, my kids had grown up with all the kids that I was calling games for. And so that was cool to get into that. I'd done PA for the high school when Curry Field was still, there. So I did PA there. And then when I got into the whole broadcast thing, it was totally by accident and a whim, and then the whole Cowley thing kind of opened up, and Coach Tom was the biggest part of that because he liked what we were doing for the high school through Leg Lighter Video Productions and what Ken had already established. Ken and Karen had already established here, and how we were kind of the up and coming. The younger crew with Kurt being with them for so long. And then Zach was coming along too. And Zach knew more than probably a lot of people at his age, and he's a phenom. So it was a radio station kind of a deal first with KSOK.
Yeah. And
then it was Tom coming along and saying, you know what, I want to cut that deal. I want to do our own thing.
Yeah.
So it really didn't. It spawned the Cowley Sports Network, but we didn't have a name for it then.
Sure. Cowley Sports Network, though. Coach, you have an opportunity, like I mentioned, that you call the games as a colorman with Scott during the baseball season. Speak to the importance of the Cowley Sports Network and what it's brought to the school. It's just been incredible for viewers to watch it anywhere around the country.
It's a great avenue for people that went to school here or played here in that sport or whatever, because it's a first-class production. It's like watching the SEC network.
Oh, it's incredible.
I know Scott said 5 cameras. Well, we do a great job with, 3, 4? 4, yeah. So I don't know where you put the 5th one in. Put in the dugout or whatever. I don't know. I know they're on top of the dugout right behind home plate, and you got one mounted at center field.
Yep.
So it's a great recruiting tool, and people can watch you all over the country, and it helps on the opposite side of that too, because there's been years when people have called this our sport and go, okay, tell us, and it happens in other sports too. It has to. We want to know about Joe X. tell us about him. But hey, never mind. We found your sports network. By the way, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's the best I've ever saw. It's better than what we have, and somebody's calling from Tennessee or Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana. Now it doesn't exist. Now it's Louisiana Lafayette or whatever. Like, and they'd watch those kids play and like, hey, we appreciate it. So it made our job easy.
Oh, yeah.
And then it makes it possible for grandma and grandpa to stay at home and watch instead of have to fight the elements. And it's unbelievable for what it's done because it's made us a worldwide product.
It sure has. I mean, you'll see the same crew that's doing that. I mean, you guys are doing ESPN, broadcasts. It's amazing. Wichita State just down the road, doing a Shocker game. Next thing you know, up here doing a Cowley game. So it's a first-class production. And I
always look when they're doing that. I mean, watch a Wichita State game. If it shows the camera, like, okay, I wonder if Scott's doing that or Kris doing it because they, what are you doing? I'm going to Wichita State and we're in the camera tonight. It's more in basketball maybe than in baseball, right?
Yeah. Did baseball early. Was cameraman there, but most of the time I tag along with Kurt and Zach. Zach's in the truck. Kurt, he's behind camera underneath one of the goals, usually the north goal at Wichita State, and I'm his utilities, hanging out behind him and making sure his cord don't get tangled. And but they kind of got me into that because they needed a guy one night, and I'm like, sure,
I can do it.
And the atmosphere is insane. And we got to do the TBT tournament.
Yeah.
Just some of the highlights. I did Wichita State, a couple basketball games when I was the cameraman. Caught Ron Baker one time after a layup where he got just absolutely hammered, and I caught him in my lap and kept the camera right on his face the whole time. Never lost the shot.
That's probably his claim to fame now. Got hammered into Scott Gurnee one time. Like, really?
That'd be it.
No, but can you tell me this? I thought this was really cool too. About a year ago, we mentioned you do the volleyball, for CSN for the Cowley Sports Network, and Coach Grimm and all the coaches here appreciate all the work you do. And it was a neat thing where they honored you with the national championship ring. when they did their ring ceremony. Tell me a moment like that. What something like that means to you.
Well, I think the video told it all. And if you were at that presentation, man, I mean, tears welled up. It's right here now. And just to be recognized as a part of it, is it means so much because you put so much into it. So much time not spent on the camera, not at the game, but prepping for that, talking, getting to know the girls. And that, I think it's cool that Coach Grimm brings up two of them after every game and gets the viewing public a chance to get to know them just a little bit, to hear their voice, to get a face with the name, and see that in an up-close version. And then, of course, their parents. I mean, we had a lot of internationals that's played volleyball here. Somebody from Hungary or Bulgaria or Spain, Brazil doesn't get that chance to come and watch every game. So when they can get a chance to see their kid on TV, I mean, that's got to be special. And for me, just to get to know those kids is huge. And I think that's probably what meant the most because of that team. And the year before, we talked back-to-back undefeated seasons and 2 national championships.
Yeah.
You get to know them, and you take if you can't get where you're taking that stuff into who you are and make it a personal connection, you'd be lost. And I think that's one of the things that I feel like I've been able to do is put part of myself into it, and then you absorb the program. It becomes a part of you. You cut me open, I bleed orange. And it's like because I take it in as much as they give me. I try to give back, and when you can take that as a part of you and become part of you, when somebody recognizes that and gives you something to put on wearing. I was going to wear it today and got in a business call and with the boss and forgot all about it. But it was like that was probably one of the most monumental moments that I've had in life.
Well, that's wonderful, Scott. Tell us, whenever you're doing a broadcast, what do you try to bring to each broadcast? For people at home that are viewing in, what do you try to bring to each broadcast?
I think there's a certain level of excitement that you've got to bring into it, but that doesn't come artificially. It has to come because that's how much you're into it. Obviously, you got to keep it at a certain level of professionalism, because when you're working with guys like Kurt and Zach Legleiter and Kevin Legleiter, these guys are professionals, and this is what they do. So you have to match that level of professionalism. I try not to be too big of a homer. I mean, it happens,
sure,
obviously, because this is who I work for. This is who I bleed for. This is, these are my guys and gals, and I'm going to be that way. But I would say that's what I try to bring: professionalism without going too overboard, and then bring the excitement to the game. Bring the people that are watching into it and get them hooked.
Yeah.
Get them involved in the game where they're sitting there and enjoying it. Because if you've ever watched a game where you just can't you got to turn the volume down because you just can't stand the person you're listening to, it takes the production to a whole different level that you don't want it to go. You can have all the great pictures and everything you want, but if you can't listen to it, you can't connect to the game.
Oh, true.
Yeah, he's the person who's going to bring him back if they want to watch the next day and the next day. So he has that connection with them, and he doesn't even know it, really. So he's the voice of the Tigers. He's like Harry Carey.
That's right.
And that brings up a point. I think maybe in those 9 games we need you to stick your head out of that press box and sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
You think that's what I need to do?
Well, you'll probably need a couple of beers like Harry had to be able to do something like that. But I don't know if you got enough nerve to do that on your own or not.
Oh, I've got a lot of nerve.
Oh, you do? Well, I want to see it then. We need to arrange it then.
All right.
We need to arrange it.
I remember that happening back in the day, but there was 2 or 3 little girls up there singing them back when
They were little, though. They had an excuse.
And they were really good.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about your family. Tell us a little bit. I mean, you mentioned your wife, Shannon. You mentioned your son, Tyler. Tell us about the rest of the children in your family. And I know that you've got an extended family that's got connections with Cowley now, too, with a daughter-in-law that's Holly Gurnee that's here as the cheer coach as well. So tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, we'll start with that. Josh, our youngest, didn't go to Cowley. He decided to go right to K-State and then graduated from K-State, went to UMKC. Got
dental school, right?
Yeah, got a doctorate. He's a dentist, working at Rogers right now, and then Wichita as well. Married Holly, and she's just been a blessing to our life. And she came with Presley attached, which is an absolute joy to have. It's a 6-year-old that is a 13-year-old, maybe a 14-year-old. If you've ever been around Miss Presley, she is far above a normal 6-year-old. And now we've got little Brooks, who's a little over 2 months, and he's just an absolute joy. He is his father's son without a doubt.
Oh, awesome.
Mannerisms, looks, it's something else to have him, and he's such a good dad, man. He is he lives and breathes that little boy, and Holly's such a good mom, and she's so busy, that Grandma gets to go over and watch, gets to watch Mr. Brooks, and of course she's loving that. That's what she wants to do full time.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Tyler, my oldest, has got three little ones. Brian.
Terrific.
Yeah, Brian, Mary, and Charlie, and Charles. And they live in Salina. He works for Railroad and UP, and she's stay-at-home mom. Rachel is, and 5 grandkids, and just living the dream.
Sounds like life's good then, Scott.
Yeah, life is good. Life is good.
That's great. You're a big sports fan, obviously, but do you have, outside of Cowley College, do you have another college you cheer for? Do you have like a D1 school that you cheer for? Do you have pro teams you cheer for? Tell us a little bit about that.
If you cut this arm, I bleed orange. If you cut this arm, it's crimson and cream. Boomer Sooner.
You got it. That's what I was glad to ask that question.
You just became his favorite guest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
We knew we had you on for a reason.
Yeah,
Yes,
really.
indeed. And it doesn't matter what sport it is. I got so fortunate to be able to do AUSL softball, and they called Kurt and I one night and said, "Hey, we need somebody down in Norman at Love's Field to do a ball game down there." you couldn't have got me to Norman fast enough
I
to
bet
do that
not.
game. Got to go to Love's Field, got to walk around the facilities and go in and out of everywhere. And cool story is Kurt and I are walking down the halls where the coach's office and stuff like that. We're taking videos and pictures of all the stuff that they have, and it's absolutely insane. And we go get our cameras set up, and when it's done, I walk back through there, and I'm on the elevator. I'm waiting to get off. And, you know, a play-by-play guy should be ready for about everything and never be caught off guard or be short of words to say. Elevator's doors open up. Patty Gasso standing right there with two of her recruits.
Wow.
All like, hi.
Choked
And it
up,
probably
huh?
sounded like that.
Exactly, yeah. The voice cracked. I was, pre-puberty, right back to that spot. And I walked off that elevator going, wow.
That one's okay because there's a few legends that walked around down at that place too, and she's one of them. If there's anyone has a statue, her and Switch are probably need to have the first ones, and then they'll erect the rest of them as they come. Bob Stoops, Bud Wilkerson, and all those people. But what she's done down there is simply amazing.
Incredible. I mean, made college softball on the map.
Relevant.
Really
I
did.
mean, to where people have, come in droves over the last
Absolutely.
5 years to really take to the sport.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You go down to, like you say, you wanted to get down there as fast as you could. It's amazing how fast those games down there fill up now when OU softball's playing. So
Yeah.
That explains the text I got from her because, like, question mark, question mark, question mark. Like, I didn't know you met her face to face, so that's the impression you left on her. Like, who's this clown?
You know, and we got to meet this quite a few Sooners were playing for that team at the time, and so we got to meet them as well, and got to go into the hitting facility with them and walk around and talk to them, and you know, they thought that I was just a camera dude, you know, I ain't nobody, but I'm a Sooner fan, and they knew that right away, and so cool experience. Would have never happened had I not been involved with this here. And
sure.
I went to a football game with him one time.
Yeah.
We had an extra ticket, and he was happy to oblige us and tag along. So
Terrific.
yeah, TCU was a night game.
Yeah.
So me and my other two boys and Scotty went down there. So
Oh, that had to have been a fun time.
it's a neat experience. If I know you're
yeah.
a Boomer Sooner
Oh,
guy,
goodness,
but
yeah,
if
I've
you
been
go
there,
to a
and-
game, there's nothing that replaces that.
That atmosphere is just unreal, isn't it? When you get 85,000 people all together like that in unison.
So could you temper your excitement? You said you want to bring some excitement to the game. That would be genuine and authentic if you were calling a Sooner football game, right?
absolutely.
Would your voice break or not?
Oh, it crackled.
For sure.
Yeah, Toby Rowland. If I could get in the broadcast booth with him, oh yeah, I would eat that one up without a doubt.
Oh yeah. Now, you know, we're kind of winding things up here a little bit, Scott, but tell us kind of, you know, in your word, what does Cowley mean to you and your family?
Well, it's part of who we are. You know, it's we make plans to be at ball games, no matter what it is, because it's just kind of part of what we've woven into our life and what we set aside time for. You can tell what's important to somebody, what they invest their time in, and it wouldn't be. I don't just go to broadcasts. You know, I try to get to everything, soccer games, and I've been to a few tennis matches, and yeah, it's the people more than it is anything. The kids are awesome, and they come and go, and you forget the names over the years, but when you see the faces, you reconnect.
sure.
You think of the times. I think about the times we were foster parents. Go back to the Garrett Huck and the Mark Bivens days when we first started, and Justin Otto and the Bobby Basslers, who, you know, we spent time with their family in Jacksonville, Florida, and spent a few days with them, and to just be taken into their family. You get into people's homes, and they see you and they know you, and just to have that connection is part of who we are now.
Oh yeah.
And we both went to school here, so we invested the time, and it's been a part of us ever since, because but it never left, because that's how much we felt connected right from the get go.
Those guys are some of my players too, and he needs to tell us before we get off the air about his man cave. He's got a really nice man cave because there's been a lot of time spent out there with that.
Yeah,
and I've been out there, and it's a fun place.
I need to get out there because he's mentioned that before too.
Yes.
Got
Especially when the Sooner,
cages and
yeah,
stuff, too,
especially
still
when
or
the
not?
Well, we
Sooners
had
are
that.
Okay,
now
you
now
had
it's
that
a sand volleyball court.
Okay.
Well, and now it's not. Now it's a place where the horse from the next door neighbor rolls around in because he loves that sand. But it have transitioned into a lot of different things over the years. But
It's been a good place for student athletes to come out though and hang out, and like you say, being part of that foster parent program.
you betcha. We've had the dance team and cheerleaders over and filled that place up. We've had the basketball teams over. We've had multiple parents of
It'll stay
Cowley
there.
players that have stayed with us.
It's our motel room, yeah.
It really is.
Well, you don't have to give us the exact address, but where do you reside? Is it here around Ark City?
Yeah, out in IXL. We live about 7/10 of a mile from the Oklahoma border.
Excellent.
And on Tower Road, and a little house that we didn't plan on staying in. We were going to go in, fix it up, out and gone, and fell in love with it, and it's been home ever since. And yeah, cool. And, I mentioned some of those kids that we had as foster kids, baseball players. But gosh, there's been so many basketball players, volleyball players, softball players. Haley Strawn, I can remember, was one of my favorite softball players at Cowley. And I can remember a time where I'm calling the game at regionals up in Topeka, and Haley Strawn's at first base, and there's a ground ball hit through the infield out to right field, and Haley Strawn's coming towards Ed at third base, and Ed is holding his hands up. Whoa, 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 whoa. Haley doesn't even glint an eye at him. She rounds third base and heads for home. And that ball reached third base at about the time she did, but the girl had to jump really high to get it, and big girl, she jumps up and she gets it.
Yeah.
And then she turns to throw the ball home, and it went right over my head. Haley never slowed down. She ran right through that call, right through that sign of Ed, and scored the ball game.
She was a heck of an athlete.
Oh,
Yeah, she was.
Seeing Jessica C. pitch in that same series was insane.
Like I said, there's got to be. I mean, I won't put you on the spot, but there's probably just too many great memories that you have at Cowley. I mean, but do you have maybe? And I guess I said I wouldn't put you on the spot, but is there anything that really stands out to you, or is there just too many?
There's probably two, and one basketball to a guy that was here 1 year, a Tier Cherney.
Yeah, sure.
Was guard for us for 1 year. I think it was 16, 17. We're playing Hutch. Hutch is the #1 team in the nation. We're Cowley Tigers. We're not even ranked, I don't believe. And we're coming down. Seconds are winding down. And they kick the ball out. They got it right underneath the basket and go up and get an easy bucket. They kick it out to a Tier Cherney, and he hits a three with 2 seconds left. And it's out there on YouTube. It's out there on Facebook. But I don't know where it came from, but it was down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier, and it's like, and it's like, I remember that, and that's where it came from. And
Yeah, but those were those Steve Eck Hutchinson teams, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that we beat that night.
It was.
That's monumental at the time.
and I think we beat the girls and the boys that night.
Wow.
And,
Taking down Anchus and Steve Eck.
yeah.
Boy.
For baseball, it's got to be probably the 21 season, the trip through the regionals, where we nearly ran rule every team we played in that series to go to Grand Junction, and then to come back the next year with some of those guys and 4 walk-offs.
Those were
at
nuts.
K-State.
Yeah. You can't make that stuff up. It was almost a movie-like to where you couldn't.
I've never seen it. Never been a part of it.
Yeah.
I remember I was in McKinney, Texas for tennis nationals, and I was watching each one of those games. I'd come back to the hotel, and I'd watch each one of those games and write up the story when it was over. And, I mean, it was one after the other was more incredible than the next. It was just they found a way to win, miracle wins.
You wouldn't have believed it if it had been a Disney movie.
No.
That's just Hollywood. That don't happen.
Yeah, we come up against KCK. They score 7 runs in the first, 1 in the second. We're down 8-0, and come back and walk that off and win it 9-8. David Herring hits a ball over the scoreboard. That's a jack, and then you've got a little space between there, and then you've got the indoor hitting facility, and it bounces off the roof. David Herring, he's a shortstop.
Right,
He's
exactly.
not a
Not
big
supposed to
dude,
do that,
but he
but
absolutely pulverized him. Hayden O'Toole hits a ground ball through the infield. Trey DeGarmo, gosh darn, I'm losing my brain here.
Hammock, right? Logan Hammock.
Ty Hammock.
Yes, Ty,
Ty
yes.
Hammock.
Yep. Mhm.
You know, you got guys that stood up. You got a pinch runner that, you know, comes in and he ends up scoring. I gotta look at my, because I took some notes, and I've got to look at. So it was Hayden O'Toole that went and helped that single, 2 RBI single that scored Hammock and Cade Stevenson. Trey DeGarmo walked it off with a single, scored Bryce Madron. That's who I was trying to remember. In the second one, that was against Johnson. David Herring, the solo home run at KCK, and then we had to come back and play KCK again and won that in 6-5. Logan Vaughn hits a 2-run single. Trey DeGarmo scores. Cade Stevenson scores again. You know,
It was unreal, wasn't it?
yeah, both those guys got Jansen, Reeder, doubled to put those guys in scoring position. So yeah, I would say those 2 years were probably the most spectacular. Being able to take 4 trips out to Grand Junction.
Yeah.
Once I took my family, 2007, called those games out there.
That was the first year I ever went out there, was 2007.
Yep.
Took my son out there when he was little.
Yeah. 2009, I rode the bus with the guys out to there, and that was an incredible experience getting to hang out with those dudes. And
You can't tell everything you know now, because we're all going to get in trouble if you start talking about the bus trip.
yeah.
Some things are left unsaid.
I tell you what, we got in a snowball fight. Going through the pass.
Yeah,
up
I
there. We
remember.
stopped to go to the bat, let the guys out everybody go get the ball, and Dylan started it, I think. Dylan or Blake started it, and then it was on. It was on. Get a bunch of baseball players together for that, and you know, being able to go out there and experience that, because you hear what it's about.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, you do. I mean, it doesn't do it justice till you're out there.
No.
And you see how that
without
town takes to
Yeah.
the JUCO World Series.
Yeah.
That's why it'll always be there. I mean, they love it. It's been there 60 years now, and that's their baby. And I love it that the town is so welcoming and
It's
just.
an event.
Oh, it is.
It's crazy.
As soon as you're pulling into town, every hotel has got a welcome in, you know, to the teams, and you see all the signs around town, and I love it. So, now, do you have any pets at home?
Nope. They've all passed. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like one of those deals you get grandkids. It's like,
I know.
yeah, passing. The pets can wait.
Yeah, we had a couple same way. Some dogs and cats recently that all bit the dust at 20 years old, and the dogs are a little tougher to replace because we like to travel a little bit. But
We got a couple of cats that hang around outside that we.
I was wondering if you had, you know, with some land or whatever, you might have some cats that might pop up. So,
Yep.
Okay.
They like to eat too much cat food, but you know, they'll bring in a very big field rat every once in a while, or a bird or something.
Show mom
like
and
that.
dad what they caught, huh?
Yeah, they'll leave a deposit there on the front. It may be a leg or a wing or something like that. Just let us know, hey, they're still working out there. But
Good.
that's about
No
it.
free rides.
No doubt.
What about, you know, in your free time, hobbies? What do you like to do?
Still hunting and fishing.
Yep.
More fishing than probably hunting nowadays. Got to go on a couple of pheasant hunts here recently, but you know, you got the family members you go hunting with when you're a kid. You know, I started when I was 15 because my uncle had a rule: you didn't carry a shotgun until you were 15 years old, and you had your hunter safety course. And all the kids that hunted with my Uncle Richard did that, followed that exact same thing. You know,
Nice.
and so I was cool with that. But you know, with passing of family, you know, those traditions go on, and everybody develops their own, has their own family, and so you know, you kind of separate out and you kind of go do your own thing and have your own experiences and create your own life, and that you miss it, but you remember the good times. And you know, I had a German short hair for about 10 years that me and him were. Or me and her, I should say. Greta were pretty close, and we had a lot of great experiences, a lot of good friends. And when you get a good dog,
Oh, man.
quail hunting over a really good dog is quite the experience. And you get to the point where you don't even care if you shoot anything. You just want to see that dog work. So I've got to take in a lot of good friends on a lot of good bird hunts and
nice.
watch her work. And that was a pleasure of my life, without a doubt.
You ever care about that when you're fishing? You don't care if you catch anything?
I'm the type that I better be catching something, darn it.
He's a good fisherman. How about him?
I don't care. If I fish 8 hours a day and we don't catch nothing, you know, I've got some.
I'm glad you got that kind of patience. That's great.
I do. And it was instilled in me as my father when he would take me, because we would go places that not necessarily had good fishing.
Yeah.
But he always took me away from the fishing hole when the fish were biting. So that kind of instilled into me, I want that excitement again. So when he said, hey, we're going back to Wilson Rock, down by Muldrow, Oklahoma, hey, dude, let's go. I can't wait, or we're going to the Dixon Pond, or we're going over to Central, or we're going to Vian, or, we go to Fairfax, and we go to over to Howard and stuff like that. We're going to Grand, it's like, yeah, that's but it was all taught, at a younger age. So, if it's a bad day and we don't catch any fish, you know what, we got to go. Yeah, we got to go, and we got more of those memories and more of those days behind us, and we got ahead of us now. So
that's right.
You got to think about, hey, we've had a lot of good ones. We'll take one rough day, just like in athletics. Some days it ain't gonna go your way. Other days you got to think.
On the way you learn.
Absolutely.
That's a good point. Absolutely. Music interests. If you're driving down the road and just got by yourself in the vehicle, what are you turning up on the radio?
It's Hair Nation.
Awesome, yeah.
I'm
39,
stuck.
all right.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck in the 80s. I can hear a song from back in the 70s and 80s and remember every word, but I can't think. I got into the good country back in the 80s. George Strait, Clint Black, those guys, Randy Travis back in the day. And I listen to some of the good stuff that's going on now. But most of the time, my radio's either stuck on Sirius XM satellite radio, listen to college, something going on, college sports, or I'm a hair band guy. So
terrific. What about movies? Any kind of movies or TV interests?
Well, I graduated in 86. Top Gun came out in 86.
Oh, yeah.
So, big Top Gun fan.
Did you like the sequel?
The sequel checked every box for me. Mm-hmm. It checked every box. It needed 35 years to make a sequel. Now I know they got another one coming out.
Oh, really?
Sooner. Yeah, there's another one already.
I really liked Val Kilmer coming back. And,
that was
being there. That was pretty touching little moment for him. knowing that he was going through in his life and
throat cancer.
Yeah, boy, but that Well, so Top Gun. Okay.
Top Gun was my favorite. I even went out and bought a motorcycle. And my freshman year, I drove a Yamaha FZ600 sport bike. All the red, white, and blue cowling and red, white, and blue. Shoey hat, helmet.
Yeah.
I didn't have.
That's why you cut him. So this guy riding up on the motorcycle.
I didn't want to go there. Yeah.
I didn't want to go there.
When he pulled up, it's like everybody go out and check your hubcaps, make sure they're still there.
I drive that in the back gate. By the scoreboard, which is by kind of out there where the gate's at to go into the bullpen.
Yeah.
A little bit farther up. That's where the scoreboard used to be.
Okay.
A small one on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And there was no green fence to separate that out. And
I didn't know that.
Drive right in, and I could drive it right into. Well, at the times there were dugouts.
Okay.
And the stands were concrete, but they had locker rooms down below them.
Okay.
And they fill up with water.
Yeah, they were flooding.
Yeah, they were flooding. And I drove that bike right up there, and
wow.
Yeah.
Like the old Bad News Bears just riding up on his
Top
motorcycle.
Gun gave me that inspiration to go on my motorcycle, and my wife won't let me have another one since.
Yeah, my first year that there was a chain link fence that went down there and stopped at about the light pole, and the bullpens were close to the dugout, and people would pull their cars in on a bad day. And we got to stop that. Our guys can't even warm up in the bullpen because people would park on the bullpen mound or whatever.
Yeah, it's changed a little bit, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, for the better.
Well, we hope.
Guys, I can't believe it. We've already been doing this an hour, so it's been a lot of fun. Scott, if you got just a minute to hang out with us, we'll do a few, cleaning up things. But, Coach, is there any other questions you have for Scott before we're done?
No.
Curveball in that.
Yeah.
Well,
you never know what we're going to get from Coach Burroughs here. So
I decided to behave today. I don't want to. He might do that to me Saturday in the broadcast, Thursday in the broadcast.
Yeah,
I don't want to be caught off guard either. So.
Well, and that's what I was going to get to, guys. Is we got some events coming up, and I was going to see if you guys are going to be in the booth for those. But first off, it's the joke of the day, guys. And this is Scott. I'm sorry you might not be aware of this, but this is where the joke of the day comes in. All right,
and it's going to put you, and you're going to be feeling really bad after you hear the joke because your little segment's not going to compare to this. That's how good it is.
Take it out of the box, then.
Rip's in the floor laughing right now so hard in anticipation of the joke.
Now these jokes are pretty short and sweet, and so you got to really listen. All right, Scott. All right, so. Two fish are in the tank, all right? One turns to the other and says, "Have any idea how to drive this thing?"
Oh my gosh.
All right. So
Wow. Oh.
there's you joking, guys.
That's probably the best ever right there. So you can imagine what all the rest have been.
Yeah.
That's the best one he's ever told.
Best compared to all the others. That tells you there's not a real high bar there for those, Scott. That's the good thing is I keep having these, I can keep raising the bar a little bit each show. So.
Gotcha.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. We'll take that. All right.
You're my broadcast partner too, so I can't throw you under the bus.
No, you can't.
Not till we get off air.
That's right. Not right now, at least. So, guys, events at Cowley. Baseball right now today at 2 o'clock. They're going to be playing out at Cloud County. The Tigers have won 12 straight conference games. This is a non-conference midweek game, but 3 straight 4-game series sweeps. You guys are the ones who call the Tigers conference games at home. What have you been seeing from the Tiger baseball team? I know I've talked with you a lot about it, Coach. Scott, are you starting to see the team kind of trending up in the direction you're hoping to also?
I do, and I see that on both sides. I see that on the offensive side. A lot of guys are really swinging the bat well, being real selective, getting work done early in counts, and I know Dave's high on that, getting that done. We're not stranding as many guys on base, especially in scoring position as what we've seen in the past. I like how arms are coming along.
Yeah.
Gosh may throw today. He's kind of been that Tuesday kind of guy, and I think he's exceptional. I mean,
He pitched really well last Tuesday.
Yes, he did. He put it on Hutch, and so I like what they're doing. Like I said, on both sides of the ball. I think they're getting comfortable. They're real young, so they've got a lot of growth to do. But there's things. It's not a sprint; it's a marathon. So it's not how you start; it's how you finish in this thing. They still got a lot of stairs to climb.
They do
to get to a JUCO World Series type of a team, and you've got really good teams of KCK and Johnson, Neosho ahead of you. So they're going to have to find a way, I think, to win some really tough ball games. They did come through in the clutch the other day in that final game. Against Labette and won that 10-9.
Yeah, down early 6-0.
Yeah, little intestinal fortitude right there, and just guys finding a way to get it done. And but they're still young; they still make mistakes.
There's been an improvement because that team would have lost that game 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
they got down 6-0. The game's over.
Exactly what Lefty told me off. He said, "Hey, not for print," but he said, I think 3 weeks ago, if we played that game, we'd probably lose that.
Probably got run though. They probably would have put their pistols in their pocket and been done with it.
This Cloud team today, they're ranked number 4 in the country. I think 32-4 right now, having a heck of a season, leading the Jayhawk West. So be a tough test. And you guys mentioned Neosho coming up here Thursday, a doubleheader Thursday here before they go to play in Chanute on Saturday. So you two guys will have the call on that, I take it?
I think we're actually doing softball that day.
Oh,
so we're not doing baseball
okay,
that day.
gotcha. Okay.
I think we are, but that's
Well, I'm glad you mentioned softball because there's been a time change on that. They just announced this morning that softball's doubleheader on Thursday. As we mentioned, baseball will be at home at 1, so come out, catch some baseball. Softball's going to be at 2 o'clock Thursday, and they're going to host Independence. And then they're also going to host doubleheaders against Coffeyville on Saturday at 2, and then Monday versus Pratt at 1 p.m. So you're going to be busy with some softball, Scott.
Yeah, going to be running around like chicken with my head cut off. But
yeah, going from baseball to softball and all over.
We live for that.
Yeah, well, that's good stuff. Intramural cornhole on Wednesday from 6 to 8 at the Calder Bonfire Amphitheater. And then the Cowley Free Movie Night on Thursday at 10 p.m. at the Cowley Cinema. And, guys, I wish we had more time. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to sit here and get to learn more about our guest today.
Gotcha.
The voice of the Cowley Tigers, Scott Gurnee. And, it's just, I love, like I say, I'll say this, I said it off the air, but, if you get a chance, listen to these guys when they're calling the games for the Cowley Sports Network. It's, I grew up listening to baseball on the radio more than even watching it. I just love listening to the games. And so, I was telling them off the air, I enjoy just being able to pop in my AirPod and listen to you guys call the games. So thank you guys for what both of you do for the Cowley Sports Network. And Scott, thank you for everything. And we really enjoyed it today. And tell Shannon we'll be getting her on soon then, okay? It sounds like we've got another guest in the family. We better get on soon too. And
Holly's coming on too,
Josh and Tyler, we'll just have everybody, right?
Yeah,
so,
why not?
But Holly's got her team getting ready to leave tomorrow too. They're having a cheer and dance send-off tomorrow at 12:30. I forgot to mention. So come on out and wish the cheer and dance teams well, as they've had a great season,
I
too.
really want to hear Shannon's side of the story when she saw him driving down the road too. It's like, oh my gosh,
Maybe that's
who
why
let
she was
Frankenstein
passing
out of the hospital? Yeah,
Whatever you did,
Yeah.
Scott, congratulations.
Yeah, really.
There you go. I think that's what Coach is trying to tell you. So.
in his way, in his own special way.
That's right. So, guys, thanks again. And, as Scott mentioned, the graphic design stuff, our graphic design person here at Cowley College, and that's not his exact title anymore, but Kris Ripley, he is the best. I mean, he just does amazing at everything he does here. He's the one who brings this podcast to you each week. So thank you, Kris. Thank you to our guest, Scott Gurnee. Thank you, Coach Burroughs, Rama, Peroo. We'll catch you next Tuesday for the Behind the Stripes podcast.